Definitely something that you all want to know about because they are the home of the no-cost COVID testing program. And I am just so delighted to be hosting now the #1 hospitality show, HTL. And I have another great guest here for us to share his wisdom and knowledge because he obviously knows the hospitality industry inside and out. And I'm so proud to say he is my good friend. And we're talking about the president of the Kliman Group, David Kliman. And what David's going to do today, he is going to share with us what is going to be going on here with volunteerism today. We need to really define what volunteerism is today, and along with other things that are going to be happening here surrounding volunteerism when we do move forward back to in-person meetings. And I can't wait for you to meet him, which is going to happen in a few minutes. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Again, we are here on a very special GMID edition, and I want to welcome back my good friend, David Kliman. Hi, David.
Hey, Deborah, how are you?
Good. Happy GMID to you, sir. And I know you have been very safe, healthy, and just living the life down in Tucson, Arizona. And I understand that you have been at a very big event today as well.
I have, yeah. I was over this morning. I was speaking with Dave Peckinpah from Marriott's, Brent Arad, the CEO of Visit Tucson, and Stephanie Harris from the Incentive Research Foundation at a North Star event. They have, I think, 85 people at Lowe's Ventana Canyon Resort specifically there to celebrate Global Meetings Industry Day and have an inaugural in-person meeting after we've been in this pandemic for so long. And really interesting, strict COVID protocols that, you know, they're following. So testing or fully vaccinated and COVID testing 24 hours in advance, beacon technology, doing contact tracing, and very interesting to participate in that.
Nice, nice. I'm loving that. It's good news to hear this, and I'm sure it felt good to be there as well. So that is really, really good. Now, first of all, I know we're going to talk about volunteerism today. You know I'm a big fan of yours, and I just wanted to congratulate you on the Events Industry Council 2020 Chairman's Award, and I think I have a photo to show you. There we go. What an honor.
Yeah, I tell you, I am one of a team that won that award. But if I think about a year ago when Kristen Horstman from Salesforce and I were commiserating on day 2 or 3 of the crisis, talking about what can we do to take action, and this relates specifically to volunteering, we co-founded this task force for which all the chairs, of which I think there are 8 or 9, were recognized with the Chairman's Award about 10 days ago. Very much a surprise and very proud and humbled.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You've worked very, very hard for that. Now, last December, I believe it was, we had you on the show before talking about how to get a great pause of COVID-19 and turn it into opportunities to redesign and reinvent yourself. Now, today, we are going to pick up the pace here by talking with you about the value of volunteerism services, especially during the pandemic. Can you take that away?
Absolutely. And I think really the core of this is that the pandemic was an opportunity for all of us to reevaluate, reanalyze, rebrand. And for those of us that choose to remain firmly in the events industry, there's obviously a business side to what we all do that pays our salaries and all of that. But I also believe wholeheartedly that part of that process of being in this industry is to give back. And that spirit of volunteerism I have embraced in a couple of different ways. And I think that it has proven its value to me first and foremost personally. I am doing this for a personal cause to improve myself. And a sub benefit is that it gives exposure and lifts everyone else up. So it's been a project of passion, a project of joy, a project of need during the pandemic in terms of the volunteering that I have been doing during this time.
Wow. I love that, because there's nothing more gratifying than volunteerism. And I know you're going to share with us some examples and some stories pertaining to that. But first, let's define it. What it's been in the past is kind of a loose volunteer atmosphere kind of thing. But today, don't you think it's more of a mindset and there's a purpose behind volunteerism? What's the definition?
I really do think that it is purpose-driven, mission-driven. And what's important is to know what's core to you, to your organization, to your clients, to your family, whoever is you're focused on. And it could be Tamala Bullock, who was just on before me on your show, is dedicated to reconciliation, equity, diversity, and inclusion. It could be that. And I'm also on that path. I have been involved as a volunteer in a weekly think tank run by Derek Johnson, who was also on your program earlier today, completely separate from the industry, has nothing to do with my professional life. But I have taken an hour and a half, 2 hours every Wednesday evening to be involved in deep discussions around systemic racism, equity, diversity, and inclusion to make me a better person and to make me more aware of the history and the commitment that I should have as a person of privilege, a white male in the United States, no better privilege than that from a systemic societal point of view. I feel I need to give back. I've been given a place of privilege. I must volunteer and lift other people up. So it is mission and passion driven. And then, of course, there's a whole industry side to that.
Right.
And that could be, whether you're here in Arizona volunteering at a MPI chapter or at a local nonprofit, could be any myriad of ways of looking at this.
So it's a matter of, like you said, there should be a mission and a purpose. And I totally agree with you, because you have to feel good about what you're doing in order to perform and deliver what is needed to be done at the same time. You don't want to just say, oh, I just got to volunteer because I need the
right. I'm going to put some hours in because it feels somebody told me to do it. That will fail. But as an example of a more traditional industry volunteering, if you're a PCMA, MPI, site, whatever organization member, and if you can be involved either virtually or face-to-face in a governance process, in a board process, in a charitable process that lifts up the organization, that will make you a better professional. It will make you more aware and more empathetic about others in the industry, and it will do service to you personally and your profession.
Right, exactly. And do you recommend volunteerism within your industry, or does it, I mean, you mentioned anything, but
yeah, I think both. I think certainly within the industry, and here we are on Global Meetings Industry Day, here you are volunteering your time and capital and treasure to lead these conversations to celebrate this industry that, by the way, I mean, the tourism industry, it employs 26 million people worldwide and contributes $1.5 trillion to global domestic product. There are so many places within tourism and hospitality and meetings world to find service that there's just a multitude of ways to do that. And I think if you truly understand yourself and have self-awareness that this issue is important, whatever that issue is, you can find a way to volunteer. I've been doing it through my MPI service. I'm on the MPI Global Board of Trustees, the MPI Foundation. I'm on numerous committees in the Northern California chapter of MPI. I've been very involved in recruiting new leaders. I'm involved with the Events Industry Council through the COVID Recovery Task Force. And now that there is the beginning of light at the end of the tunnel for those of us in the United States, in terms of many people, including me, are double vaccinated, and we can really start going out in the world, I look forward to being involved in the community here in Tucson and finding ways that I can volunteer both in hospitality and in community. And I layer that on top of my professional life. I look at them in tandem, and they all lift me up personally and professionally.
so what do you say to the people that are, you know, workaholics, or they're just putting a lot of long hours into their work and their family, and they look at you and say, David, I just don't have the time. What do you say to those people?
That's me. I run a business. I run a small business. When I was a corporate guy, I worked for a multinational corporation and had a big job and was working 50, 60, 70 hours a week. I still think there is time to be found. And whether it's mentoring somebody face-to-face or virtually, whether it's being on a board or a task force, you can find time to do that. And I can say for myself, I am a better person for it.
Yeah, that's true. I think a lot of people that have never really volunteered or had a purpose to volunteer don't know the gratitude and the give back to even yourself after having that happen, and experiencing it would really make a huge, huge difference. Now, I know that the old way of volunteering is, well, you know, nobody asked me. Nobody's approached me to volunteer to be on a board. I think today's way of volunteering is you have to be proactive. You have to go and ask, right?
Yep. You've got to step up. So find what's of interest. If it's a meetings industry association, one of the many, go and figure out what is important to either that regional or national or international organization, and find the value that you can provide. And everybody is different. There's no one right path, but Deborah, you've nailed it. Don't wait to be asked. Understand what the needs are, identify what value, what strength, what value you can present, and then stand up, opt in, lean in, move forward, present yourself. And you may not prevail every single time. That's okay. Live and learn. Okay. I wasn't successful every single time I stepped forward to say, could I offer this or that? Especially on boards and task forces, either in our industry or outside, where there may be a larger ecosystem of people that are trying to play in that space. But don't let that get you down.
That was a really key thing that you just said, because I can't imagine you not being successful in any volunteerism positions, because you are. But I think that was something very important for people to hear, is because you're not going to be successful with every volunteer position, and it might not be the right fit. It might not be the right day to go, or all kinds of different reasons.
And learn from it, understand it, soak that in, have the self-awareness to know that if you stood up for a position and didn't prevail, ask the question, is there something else I could have done? Really have that awareness of why it didn't work, and then use that for the future and adapt accordingly.
Okay, great. Now, I know I brought this up before in our last show together, from our industry buddy, PCMA's COO, Bruce McMillan, and he said, which he admitted to stealing the quote from the superhero Marvel, which we just talked about on the previous show with Tamala.
Talking about superheroes.
He had a great quote, and I know this has a lot to do with volunteerism. It says, "With great power comes great responsibility. We can do a better job of giving back." And he thought we were late, but I don't think we're late at all. I mean, it's now that we're in a new world and a new day. Why not take on that type of responsibility and for yourself?
Yeah, and I think the crisis really pushed us psychologically, alas, many people physically, and those of us that are still here and involved in the industry, we have a responsibility to reinvent. And, it's not that there's a switch that we're going to hit and we just pick up and start up again. We have to adapt and shift. And that comes from a place of responsibility. And again, wrapped around volunteering, I think that if you're listening to this and thinking, what can I do with my local chapter in the hospitality industry or a local nonprofit, there are so many things that you can do that will give you that responsibility and that superpower that Bruce McMillan so aptly talked about.
Okay, well, that definitely makes a lot of sense, because it is not only a responsibility to other organizations or individuals, but a responsibility to yourself.
Yes.
You owe it to yourself. And what better way to network? What a better way to learn? What a better way to give back? I mean, like you said, this show I have learned so much. I feel like this is more my therapy than making new friends and having conversations. It's been great for me, especially to get out of the depression of what we've been going through this past year. This has really been good for me personally, and I didn't expect that.
Don't discount the psychological impacts that this crisis has had on all of our well-being. The isolation, even though we're living in a Zoom world, it's not the same. And by engaging, whether it's professionally on paid work or by volunteering, you're really refueling yourself and your psychological well-being.
I believe it.
I get that from my volunteer work.
That makes a lot of sense. And it's something great to experience, and you won't be able to experience it until you do it. So it's just a matter of being proactive and getting out there and finding out what you would like to do and where would you like to give. We have a great question here from Visibly Media. Do you know some organizations that are in need of volunteers, or how do you find out who needs volunteers?
Yeah, I mean, I know that within the events industry, all of the MPI, PCMA, HMSAI, SITE, Green Meetings, all those organizations are hungry for volunteers. Absolutely. And it is regional. So, there are smaller chapters, larger chapters. I'm not sure where our friend from Visibly Media is based, but certainly reaching out. And it's not hard to go online and mine that information, look at the chapter structure, all of that. If you look nationally or internationally at those same organizations, MPI, PCMA, EIC, there is a structure involved for international leadership. I will say typically what happens on boards and committees at the international level, broad strokes, there's typically more people applying than there are spots, but that comes to what I said just a few minutes ago. Put yourself forward, lean in. If you don't prevail, understand why, and keep at it.
I know they were asking for volunteers for the vaccine process too, and I know a lot of friends that went down there to get their, again, it was giving back to them. They just, got their shot while they were volunteering at the same time.
Yep.
So it's all around us, David. It's all around us.
It is all around us. And then outside the industry, take what your passion is. If you want to mentor a kid to help them with their reading skills or their math skills or whatever it is, there are boundless opportunities to do that. And that's very locally based.
Right, definitely. And it can also be, depending on your own schedule, works around that. It's just endless regarding volunteerism. I'm just so glad you brought this up. It really makes sense to me. Now, how do you keep your business relevant during a pandemic via volunteer services? How do you?
Yeah, I would say that, I leaned in a very major way at the top of the pandemic because I thought it was the right thing to do. It certainly kept me front and center, and my business will benefit from that, but that's not why I did it. I could have just done that, and if the business evaporated, it wouldn't have mattered because I did what was my passion and what I had a responsibility to do. But it does give you a presence in the industry. So measure that, moderate that, understand by doing this from a volunteer point of view, then it will it will give you visibility, which will help you professionally.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You hit it on the nail there. It does give you exposure, visibility, it gives you the networking opportunities. It's just wonderful, a wonderful experience, and I'm glad you brought it up again, no doubt. Is there anything else that you would like to share pertaining to volunteerism?
Again, I'll just wrap and say, find your passion, find your joy, know what's important to you, lean into it, and don't give up.
That's very key. I love that. So I wanted to kind of just end this broadcast with you. I can't believe the time has gone so fast. All great leaders like yourself have mentors. Who is your biggest influence in the industry, and why?
My biggest influence in the industry, I would say,
outside the industry too, maybe.
I would say, at my point, so I've been many decades in this industry, I believe that it flips, and it's the reverse influence of the young people coming up. I look at somebody like a Derek Johnson, a young leader, at Amanda Armstrong at Enterprise, MPI chair like me, young people that are turning this industry into something new and dynamic are the inspiration and reverse mentors chronologically for me. Now, I've had business mentors that were CEOs and that in the traditional sense, but I look at it from a reverse point of view. And I think that people like Derek Johnson, Amanda Armstrong, that I look to and I listen to and I learn from are a gift.
That's great. That's wonderful. Yeah. And you know, our industry is such a family. And I know that's a tough question because it's like, oh, where do I begin? You know, every day we have great conversations with each other. And that's what's so great about the hospitality industry, in particular, the meetings and events sector. So boy, I can't believe this is really ending right now, but I know that throughout this entire year, you've got some gratitude processes going through your head too. I'm sure there's a lot of things that you've been grateful for this year, right?
For sure, every day.
Well, we're grateful that you have moved to Arizona in my backyard. And I know eventually we're going to have to get together for some margaritas, right?
We will be face to face before we know it.
Good, good, good. Well, thank you so much for
you,
sharing
Deborah.
your brilliant knowledge as usual. And I can't wait to see you live in person very, very soon is what I feel. So
I think we will. I'll see you at
yes.
PCMA EduCon.
Yes. And in the meantime, I want everybody to get an opportunity to connect with you, whether it's your email or your website, or is there any other way that you'd like for them to connect with you?
I'm on all social channels, but email and website and social, you'll get me.
Good, 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 good. Well, thank you again, David. I'm so, again, a big fan of yours and really excited that you were able to be here with us on this GMID 21 celebrated day.
Thank you, Deborah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it. You had just listened to the most brilliant man that I know in the hospitality industry. I know if he asked me that question, who influences me? Well, he certainly does. I just know I can always pick up the phone and call him and brainstorm and get any type of opinion from him. He's just that kind of guy. So, and of course, that's the way we like to see it happen in our hospitality world as well. And if you did enjoy this conversation, by all means, there will be a replay. So either take a look at our Facebook page or our YouTube channel and share it out to others as well, because volunteerism is here to stay and is something that you do not want to miss being involved in. So thank you again for that. And if you have any feedback or comments, please contact us at our email of hello@hospitalitytodaylive.com. Now we are continuing on with our celebration here of GMID 21. And next up, I'd like to introduce to you John Williams. John is the president and co-founder of American Guest USA. And his knowledge that he's going to share with us is how to transform your destination events and incentives, what tools you can embrace, especially this past year, just what John did, and how seeing the next upcoming 12 months for the MICE business looks to him. We're going to find out in a few minutes. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with John Williams.